How do you introduce yourself to people when you're still trying to figure out who it is that you are? For those of you who do not know, I am a social sales strategist. All that really means is that I teach professionals and entrepreneurs how to build intentional relationships that is going to help them increase their sales. So a lot of what I do has a networking piece into it, right? It has a relationship building piece into it. And so what I have found is that a lot of people lack so much confidence in themselves and who it is that they are, that it is very difficult for them to form relationships with anybody, right? And then you throw in sales and trying to make money, it makes things very, very complicated. So today we're going to dive into some ways that you can increase your confidence and still increase your network, still expand your network in a season where you're still just trying to figure out who it is you are, when you're still working on that identity piece. And this is something that I have personally, I've had tons of experience with, because I am always kind of re-identifying, declaring who it is that I want to be. And the beautiful thing about us as humans is that we can really be whoever we choose to be. And so that is the first thing that you really have to understand, is that you can be whoever you want to be, right? You can literally wake up this morning and say, hey, I'm going to be a person who does this. I'm going to be a person who wakes up at 5 a.m. I'm going to be a person who's at the gym by 6 a.m. You can literally declare who it is that you want to be. And so these are just a few things that have personally helped me in different seasons that I've been in. First and foremost, a season of separation, right? A season, you have to have a season of separation. I call it like my season of stillness, and this happens to me ever so often. But when we are when we are about to transform, or when we're about to shift, I believe everybody goes through a season of separation where we're very much to ourselves. We can't really identify what is taking place, but we know that something is happening, right? That's that season of separation. And so in this season, what are we doing? Right? In this season, this is you identifying and declaring who it is that you want to become. Who do you want to be? Right? What do you personally, like, what is your personal brand? What do you as an individual want to be known for? Right? What type of reputation do you want? Really just encompassing your personal brand. And so in your season of separation, you need to identify, okay, if I want to be this type of person, how does this type of person show up? What habits do they have? How do they act? How do they dress? How are they showing up? Right? In my seasons of stillness and my seasons of separation, I do a lot of reading. In the show notes, I'll be sure to add some of the books that have had the most impact on me, but just to name a few, like Off the Dome, Atomic Habits. I don't know any of the authors. Like I said, I'll drop all the info in the notes, but Atomic Habits, The Energy Bus, Untethered Soul, and Believe Bigger. Those are like 4 books that have had great significance on me, right? Becoming who it is that I want to become. And so when you think about sales, when you think about networking, right, especially in this era, I need you to understand that if you are trying to sell anything, this is for all my business owners out there, relationships are the new currency. Okay, relationships are the new currency, and you have to capitalize on that, right? You have to understand that. And so when it comes to relationship building, right, how do we do that? Right? How do we really do that? And so what I have noticed is that a lot of times people get confused right? People that you meet are confused because you're confused. The people are not buying from you, right? People don't know what it is that you do because you do not know what you do. And so before you start trying to sell, before you start trying to network, before you start trying to build anything, you have to have this foundation within of, okay, who is it that I am, right? Because again, people are confused because you're confused, right? And this is not to say that you have to have it all together, but you do have to start creating some type of foundation, some type of identity of who it is that you are. You have to have a vision for what it is that you want and where it is that you are going. And you have to stand 10 toes down in your vision, right? Not everybody has to understand your vision. That's absolutely okay, right? That is absolutely okay. But you have to understand your vision. So many times people will start to fall off of things that they know that they are called to, or they know that they are destined to, just because they're not receiving outside validation. You don't have to receive outside validation from anybody if you stand 10 toes down into what it is that you know you are called to do, right? So you have to stand very firmly in who it is that you are and your purpose or your vision. Do not let anybody else, anybody outside of you, deter you from that, right? Because if you are wishy-washy, if you're all over the place, what that tells people from the outside looking in is this is a person who is not confident, right? If you are always changing your mind, if you are always just teeter-tottering, somebody from the outside looking in who is trying to make a decision if they're going to invest in you or not, more often it'll be not, right? I'm not going to invest my money into somebody who is not focused on, one thing, right? So that's kind of the first thing, is embracing your season of separation, right? Embracing your season of separation. The second thing that you should be doing to help you increase your confidence when you are expanding your network is speak your vision, not your current story. And this right here is super important. This is so, so important. When you are meeting new people, and say you are going through a season and it might not be your best season, you do not have to tell people your woe me stories in that moment. Speak vision, speak life into what it is that you are working on, what it is that you are building, especially in business, right? Say that you just started your business, or maybe you're having a rough patch in your business. Why do you necessarily need to tell new people that as you're meeting them, right? If you know that you have a vision and you know where it is that you want to go, speak what it is that where you're going. Speak your goals, speak your desires, speak how excited you are to help X amount of people do something, right? Here's the thing. People follow people who have vision, right? People are not going to invest in you. People are not going to want to follow you. You're not going to have a greater impact on those around you if you do not have vision. If you are not speaking your goals, if you are not speaking what it is that you desire, people are not going to be impacted by that positively, right? People are not going to be impacted by that positively. People do not want to follow people that don't seem clear about where it is that they are going. There have been so many seasons where I have been broken, busted, business not growing. But because I knew my vision, because I spoke my goals, because I spoke about how excited I was to help new families and new people do whatever, the case may be, people still followed me. People still purchased from me. People still invested in me because I spoke life into what it is that I wanted to see. I didn't share the woe me moments. When I was going through my most toxic breakup ever, nobody even knew. Literally nobody knew. There were a couple people that knew, like literally my inner circle. But when I was building my business, people were still coming into the business. Why? Because I spoke what I wanted to see, not what I saw. Right? I'll say that again for anybody who missed it. Right? I spoke what I wanted to see, not what I saw. And so you have to do the same exact thing. You have to make sure that you are always that person that is speaking life and vision, right? And there is one thing that a mentor of mine used to say, when you're going through your trials and your tribulations, and you're always talking about where it is that you are in this moment, sometimes it sounds like complaining, right? And this is outside of like professional help, right? Like, go mental health, get a therapist, right? This is outside of that. This is where you're just always speaking about what it is that you see. Like you're always complaining about where you are. You're always victimizing your situation, right? If you're always talking about where it is that you are in this moment and not talking about where it is that you want to go, it's not a testimony in this season. It's only a testimony when you overcome it. So if I'm literally, for example, myself, if I'm sitting up here talking about, this relationship that I'm going through, this breakup that I'm going through, in that moment, I'm crying, I'm complaining. Right? It's not a testimony until I'm on the other side. Another example is I remember when I hosted my annual Valentine's Day event. I hosted my annual Valentine's Day event. And I shared something with the ladies who were at my event, right? And it was a struggle financially for me to host that event. And I shared with them, there were moments where, I had to Lyft and I had to Uber to make money so I could throw this very expensive event, right? But if I was complaining about doing those things, if I was speaking about all the things that I was doing while it was happening, it would seem like I was complaining. But because I had put on this amazing event, and now I'm like talking about all the trials and tribulations, now it's a testimony. Now it's a testimony to what I overcame. And so people are just more inclined to follow those that speak vision and not death into their life, right? And then another way to have to grow your confidence when you are expanding your network is to have standards. And this is a big one. And this is something that I started incorporating because once upon a time, I was an individual who truly believed that I was able to help everybody. I believed that some of the businesses that I've been a part of, I believed that they were for everybody. And as I've grown, that is absolutely not the case, right? Although anybody could take advantage of, certain situations, I realized that not everybody can do what it is that I do. And so when it comes to my personal relationships and when it comes to people that I want to do business with, I started incorporating standards. I started incorporating a criteria to be able to be in community with me. Because at the end of the day, there are certain individuals that are so draining, too draining for me to deal with, right? And so because I have become a person who protects my peace, who protects my energy, I am very picky about the individuals that I let in my space. And I'm very unapologetic about that. I'm very unapologetic about that because I have spent a lot of time investing into my own personal development. And I'm just very big on energy. I am very big on energy in the company that I keep. And so I would encourage everybody to have a set of standards when it comes to expanding your network in your personal life and in your business. Why? Because when you are in this phase of figuring out who it is that you are, and you are basically becoming or reinventing yourself, you have to make sure that the people who are in your life are now in alignment with who it is that you are working on becoming, right? Here's the thing, you can't sit up here and try to create your dream person, your dream self, and then not have any type of standards about the individuals that you keep around yourself. You absolutely cannot do that. And so, as you are figuring out how this person dresses and their habits and how they show up, you also need to identify who is the company that they keep. What characteristics does your company have? Right? How does your company show up? What are the habits of the company that you keep? And so really identify on a personal level and a business level some criteria for your relationships, right? The people that you are connecting to, these new connections, they should make you feel excited, right? They should be able to speak life into you. They should make you feel good. So many times we are around people, whether it is business or personal, where the people that we are around, we do not feel good about ourselves. That's not healthy, right? That is not good. That is not healthy. We should not be around individuals that we're shrinking around. If you cannot be your full self, if you cannot stretch in front of people, if you cannot share your big ideas, those are the wrong people for you to be around. Again, personal life and business as well. The company that you keep, they should make you feel motivated. You should be inspired by your circle, right? The people around you should be leveling up just as much as you do. You should not be the smartest person in any room that you are in. And that for me was an indicator that I needed to stretch and put myself in new spaces. I'm currently in a season right now where I am stretching. I am in a season right now where I am putting myself in all types of new environments. I attend networking events very, very often. And there is a networking event that I'm going to attend this week, and I'm nervous. I'm nervous because it is a more affluent community. And I remember I went to this same type of event 2 years ago, and I shrunk. Like, I vividly remember being there. I vividly remember how I just felt so small. I was scared to approach people. And finally, when somebody came that I actually knew, I was with them the whole night. I was just scared to meet people. I had felt like I didn't have anything valuable to say. So when I talk about identity and when I talk about the importance of standing in your value statement and knowing, what value you bring to the table, I'm speaking from experience. I know that these things work because these are the things that I've had to do, right? To where I can enter any room and feel confident because I know that it's a blessing for anybody to be connected to me. I know that. And we all have to feel that same type of energy towards ourselves. Like, you have to know that the people connected to you, like, they're lucky and they're blessed to even know you. Like, that's how you have to feel about yourself, right? That is truly how you have to feel about yourself. And so being in community with individuals that motivate you and inspire you, that is going to help you increase your confidence. So although I'm a little nervous, I'm also very, very excited to go to this networking event because I'm a whole different person. I am a completely different person. And so I am so excited to get back into this space and see how I'm able to maneuver the room, to see what connections and relationships are going to be built because I'm somebody different, right? And so I just encourage everybody who's out there, again, whether you are looking to build relationships on a more personal level, or if you are looking to build relationships like in your business or professional communities, I really encourage you to get out there on top of the fact of really just getting clear about who it is that you're looking to connect with. Because here's the key. Here's the T, key and T. When you start to identify the type of person that you want to be around, the type of person that you want to be in community with, it helps you figure out the places that you should go. Because when I talk to a lot of people, people are like, well, I don't know where to go to network. Like, where do people like me or people who I want to be like, where do they hang out? Well, if you start to identify the habits, the characteristics of these individuals, those type of people flock together. So then it's going to be easier for you to identify the places and the spaces that you might actually find these individuals. And this is how you level up your network. This is how you level up yourself, because again, like attracts like. So if you are now putting yourself in these spaces and places, now you're starting to embody the person that you want to become. I often talk about like my 7-figure self, right? Am I showing up as my 7-figure self? And so when I go to this event, I'm going to have to constantly tell myself, would 7-figure Tish interject into this conversation and introduce herself? Would 7-figure Tish compliment this person and start a conversation with them? Or would 7-figure Tish, like, would she just sit there and expect somebody to come and talk to her? Or is she going to initiate conversation? Like, what does my 7-figure self do? And these, I already know. Like, I'm an overthinker. So I know that these are actual conversations that I'm going to have in a few days, right? I absolutely know it. But again, because I'm in a different place and because I'm actually leaving my season of separation, and I have identified new criteria about the individuals that I want to be around, I'm so much more confident to get into these new spaces because something has happened on the inside of me where I'm different. The last 90 days, I've been very silent. The last 90 days, I've been reading, I've been reflecting, right? I've been reading, I've been reflecting, I've been growing, I've been shifting my mindset, right? And because of that, I'm a completely different person, right? And so now when I come into these new spaces, I'm coming as my most confident self. Because I've had that season of separation. I identified the type of people that I want to connect with. So when I start having these conversations with people, somebody is either going to be qualified, or as I'm talking to them, they're going to disqualify themselves. This is how you have criteria. And I will have a conversation with anybody, but based on my criteria and the conversations that I have with them, that will tell me if we're going to further conversation or if it's just kind of like a one and done deal, right? Because every person that I have a conversation with, I don't have to be friends with. I don't have to exchange numbers with. They don't need to know me past that conversation. That is the importance of having criteria, right? And so that pretty much wraps up today. I thought that this was super relevant because I think that as we talk about identity, okay, we're doing a lot of inner work, but how is it that we start showing up to the world? How do we start, making new connections and making new friends as this new person, especially when we're in the midst of trying to figure out who that person even is?